Now, a startling new report has revealed anti-Muslim hate crime is up 335% in only 1 year. The report from Tell Mama Crime Monitoring Group says that the abuse included cases of Muslim women being harassed on the street and reports of the word Hamas being dubbed on a Muslim family's front door.
Joining us now with more on the shocking findings is Imam Ajmal Masroor. A threefold increase in cases of Islamophobia just since October the 7th. Is that what has led to this?
Good morning. Sorry, I didn't hear the last part of what you said, but now I did. Just a quick recall. It's not just now that we have been experiencing Islamophobia. I thought when I was a young kid and I faced racism on the streets of our East End of London, we'd fought racism and we had eradicated from our society. And I was able to feel, okay, we feel liberated and we can breathe well and we are okay now. We can be accepted as who we are. Unfortunately, we're now faced with another demon in our world, another evil. It's called Islamophobia. And that's on the rise. And this shocking experience is not only common to Muslim women. Young children in playground are being called terrorists, are being called members of Hamas, or earlier in the past were called members of bin Laden. My own nephew was called, are you related to bin Laden, or are you member of family of Saddam Hussein? This constant association with extremism, terrorism, global problems that we see politically driven by various sections of our society, often associated with Islam and Muslims, is not helping in any shape or form. It's causing trouble. People are being also killed. In America, we saw that little child stabbed over 20 times after hearing one politician associate Islam and the Muslims with the crisis in the Middle East. So not only in the UK, but globally, across Europe, America, the experiences are getting worse day by day, and we need to do something about it.
How much of this is being fueled by people who are scared? So, for example, William Shawcross, the independent reviewer of Prevent, says Islamic extremism in this country isn't being tackled effectively. I spoke about this figure earlier, MI5 saying that actually 75% of its caseload is Islamist threats. That will play into this argument. It's no excuse, but is that part of the reason?
Well, this kind of language is not helpful at all. Let's take very briefly the word Islamist or Islamism. As soon as you start using the word Islam with anything else, prefix or suffix, it doesn't matter, you have already brought the question of Islam into the conversation. There are 2 billion Muslims in the world. If all 2 billion Muslims were extreme, the world would be completely destroyed. So it is completely and utterly unacceptable to even make that association. Secondly, many sacred terms of Islam are being denigrated and desecrated by people with interest. For example, William Shawcross, right? His Prevent review has been condemned widely by people, and yet media, politicians, and various pundits are constantly using them. Ordinary people don't make any distinction. They hear the word Islam and Muslims, and they think that's it. All Muslims, all Islamic people must be this, that, and the other. And we have to really be responsible, especially media commentators, politicians. Our words count, and our words could protect life or take life. And, you know, it's awful that we're seeing this today. And I put this blame squarely on those people who have misused terminologies just to gain a political favor or political brownie point.
Can I talk about some of the specifics of this Tell Mama report, Ajmal? And you alluded to it, that women are more likely to be on the receiving end of abuse, half of this taking place online, but half of it taking place in the real world, the kind of threats that people are facing.
Yeah, of course. I have a daughter, I have a wife, I've got sisters, I've got a mother. And if you're a visible Muslim, and women happen to be more visible than men in the sense that they're wearing a headscarf, if that's what they choose to do, then they become an immediate target for a lot of abuse in the underground, on the buses, high streets, shopping centers, in school, when they're dropping their children to school. Being hurled abuse at for what's happening in the Middle East is not acceptable. This mother who's taking a child to the school, just because she's a mother wearing a headscarf, you don't have the right to hurl abuse at this woman. And those who do that, usually they're very cowardly or very ignorant of the fact and what's going on the ground. They're not aware of it at all. Yeah, a few days ago, I was talking to a group of people in a remote part of the UK, and I said, "Do you know that the conflict in the Middle East between Palestine and Israel could easily be solved if both parties were to sit down and discuss?" One woman who was sitting in that crowd, she said to me, "Palestine, what's that?" I said, "It's a country in the Middle East. I don't know what the country," and she was being genuine about it. There is a widespread ignorance about the fact of Islam, about the realities of Islam, the fact that Islam is the religion of 2 billion people, the fact that the word Islam actually means to live in peace and harmony with yourself, with your neighbors and people around you.
But can I just jump in, though? One of the things that, and you said that females are more visible, but that's because they choose to wear, say, a niqab, a burqa, for example. Shouldn't we... I'm also minded that we're seeing a huge rise in anti-Semitic abuse as well in this country. This is about religious doctrine, isn't it? Shouldn't we go down the route that France did in 2010 and ban all kind of religious symbols?
I call French move secular extremism. We don't need to dictate. An example. We would not dictate a person who is not of religious background how long their skirt should be, how long their top should be, whether they should wear this clothes or that clothes. If somebody wants to be a nudist in our country, they're welcome to. So why are we now dictating a woman as to what she should wear?
But if you're wearing a niqab and a burqa, it's a barrier to communication.
That's not true necessarily. There are many good people.
It is true.
Hold on a second. You're not a woman, firstly. I know many women in the world who are very much integrated, who are professors, lecturers, who are scientists, doctors, engineers wearing niqab. I don't support niqab wearing as a personal choice. Okay. I wouldn't do it. I've not told that to my children
Ajmal,
or my wife.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We are out of time. We are heading towards the end of the hour, but thank you very much indeed for joining us.